Hello and welcome to a new screencast. Today we're going to start a new topic. The topic is going to be Mexico. We're going to spend some time, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, talking about Mexico. Today's presentation is going to be on some basic geography and demographics. Demographics means the characteristics of the people, like what religion they are, what their ethnicity is. So that's what we're going to look at today. As we go through our Mexico unit, our essential questions are going to be listed right here. What principles should guide the development of Mexico's economy? How should Mexico define its relationship with the United States? How should it define its relationship with the rest of the world? And how should Mexicans address their country's inequality and poverty? So that's what we're going to look at. Before we can answer those, we need to spend 2 to 3 weeks learning about Mexico. And what we're going to try to do is put ourselves in the shoes of Mexican people and get their perspective on their country and kind of answer these questions from a Mexican perspective, not from a Montana perspective. So let's start with the physical geography. This map just shows you the elevation of Mexico. The darker brown is the higher elevation and the green is the lower elevation. So you can see a lot of green along the coast. There is this mountain range that runs down the center of Mexico, and those mountains are about the same size as our mountains in the Bridger Range. As far as the climate goes, northern Mexico is really dry, so the yellow is arid, and then that kind of brownish yellow color, that beige color, is semi-arid, which is very dry. So those areas are very similar. If you know the climate of like Arizona or New Mexico, Texas, it's kind of that dry climate in northern Mexico. It does get down into tropical wet and dry. This would be rainforest or jungles. And you can see that's where it's dark blue and dark green. There are some temperate climates, some really nice climates. The Mediterranean climate is very nice up there next to San Diego in this northern part. This is the Mediterranean. And this temperate green climate is a very nice climate too. Not too hot, not too cold. Okay, where do people live in Mexico? This map shows the population density. The darker the blue, the more people per square mile. Our legend says hab per square kilometer. So that's in Spanish, or habitants per square kilometer. So you can see the really dark area right here. This is Mexico City, one of the most densely populated places in the entire world. Mexico City. Oh, before I go to Mexico City, you can see up north here, it's sparsely populated. That's because of the dry, arid climate. It's not very good for farming or much else. Mexico City, this is what it looks like. It stretches for miles and miles and miles, densely populated. There's 21 million people there. And to put that in perspective, that's about the same as Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, and South Dakota. So you can think of all those people in one city. Mexico City is a huge valley, about the size of Gallatin Valley. And if you can imagine 21 million people being in Gallatin Valley, this is what it would look like. It is the 5th largest city in the world, although I'll go ahead and tell you, when they rank the sizes of cities, different lists come up with exactly different ranks. So sometimes Mexico City's 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th, depending on exactly how they count people in different cities. But I'm going to say it's the 5th largest. Might be the 4th, might be the 6th. Who lives in Mexico? This is the graphic. This is real simple. Amerindian is the indigenous people, the natives who were there before the Spanish. And the mestizo is the mix between the natives and the Spanish that moved there and the black slaves that were brought there. And then the other, that would be different groups, whites or Asians or other people that live there. Religious affiliation, this is really interesting for Mexico. You can see a lot of people are Roman Catholics. It's 82.7% of the population. And then only 4.7% are non-religious. And I want to put that in perspective for you. Here's the U.S. religious affiliation. Roman Catholic is 21, Protestant 33. None is 34% in the United States. So there's a big difference between how religious Mexicans tend to be, very, very committed to their Catholic faith, and in America, there's a lot more people who identify as not religious. What about the Mexican economy? Mexico imports the pie graph on this side shows how much it imports. 46% of their imports come from the United States. When they export, when they sell stuff out of their country, 80% of it goes to the United States. So our economies are linked. The United States is a very important trade partner with Mexico. To flip that around, U.S. imports, you can see we import 13% of our goods from Mexico, and we export 16% of our goods to Mexico. And that, for us, that's the third largest country. You can see Canada and China, and then Mexico. So that's the third largest country that we export to. So our economy is linked in a very important way to Mexico's economy as well. This shows a little bit about what they export to us. Motor vehicles, parts and accessories for tractors and public transport vehicles, data processing machines, this is computers and phones, petroleum, and motor vehicles that transport goods. So I think that's like big trucks. There is a huge category of other, 65% over here. A lot of that's going to be agriculture. I don't know if you've noticed this, but in Bozeman, we can get fresh fruit and vegetables year round. Some of that's coming from California and the southern United States, and some of that's coming from Mexico. This final map here shows a little more detail about the natural resources of Mexico. And if you're interested, you could pause the video and check this out. I will point out along the coast, there's tuna, shrimp, mackerel. So there's a lot of fishing. I do also want to point out this O means petroleum. I think my face is probably covering up this key, but the O means petroleum. So anywhere you see an O, down there, up here, there is a pretty large oil industry in Mexico. Okay, that is it for today on some basic geography and demographics of Mexico. Remember, we're going to try to look at life from the Mexican perspective, and this is important to us in the U.S. because they are our neighbor. We do a lot of business with them. They're exporting stuff to us. We're importing, we're exporting, importing. So Mexico is a big strategic partner of ours, and it's worth taking some time to get to know them. Thanks. If you have any questions, email me or see me in class.